Healing Journeys today. Butch Hartman here with my beautiful wife, Julieann Hartman.
Hello, everyone.
We arranged the camera. There we go. And welcome to Healing Journeys today. Welcome to HARTbeat, the show where we talk about marriage
about
and
your heart beating.
About your heart beating. Yes, it's not a medical show. It's a spiritual show. Look at this is shimmering.
That
you know
is
why?
so
Do you know
weird.
why? The green screen thing is on for some reason. I don't know how to turn it off.
I don't either. So we'll just leave it on. I'll just sparkle the whole time.
That's going to be kind of annoying, don't you think?
I mean, does it bother you all?
Let us know if it's a sparkling outfit. Actually, you look kind of like radioactive, which is kind of neat. I like.
Want me to take it off?
Well, it's up to you. But I mean, it will sparkle the whole time.
That's so funny. Okay. Here
you go. See,
now it can't sparkle.
Well,
it's sparkling behind me.
That's right.
All right, take it off. There we go. No more sparkle.
I don't know why. See, we have the green screen thing on. I don't know.
Hi, Hannah.
Hannah's on. Hello, Hannah. And Tyler, our buddy, is on. Guys, if you have had a great week, we would love to know what the Lord has done in your life this week. What awesome things is God doing for you? Has that breakthrough come for you? We are hoping that it has. We know that we've been hearing a lot of great things lately from a lot of people. We got to minister to so many people last week in our Bible study and our church that we do on Sundays. And a lot of it had to do with physical healing. And a lot of the physical healing we know had a root in some emotional stuff. And really, the healing will manifest when the emotional stuff is taken care of too. And listen,
well, if you think about it, it's not that God holds anything back.
Not
it's
at all.
Just that we are like balls of anxiety and balls of emotion. And so
because this world that we live in is constantly trying to put fear in us, is trying to scare the heck out of us, is trying to make us turn to everything but Jesus. And that's where we got to stand together as Christians and especially as couples.
Yeah.
And go like, because if we were a couple and she was standing for one thing and I was standing for another thing, we would be unequally yoked.
It'd be really hard because
we'd be constantly
split the screen.
Yeah.
And you went that way and I went this way.
We'd be constantly in turmoil and we would be constantly I believe we'd be constantly unhappy. I mean, think about it. How can you be happy as a couple if you're both going in two different directions? So we're here to encourage you to go in the same direction if you can. And we want to hear some great stories from you. If you're in a relationship, if you're married, let us know. Let us know how long you've been married. Let us know how your marriage is going.
Or do you want to get married?
Or do you want to get married? Are you waiting for Mr. or Mrs. Right to show up in your life? Our daughter, Carly, our oldest girl, didn't really have a boyfriend at all growing up, and she waited and waited and waited, and now she's got a relationship that she's so glad she waited for.
And our daughter Sophia is also waiting as well because
and
you know why? Because there is God has got amazing spouses for our daughters. We started praying for them the minute we got saved, when we learned that you can pray for your daughter's future husbands.
You can pray for anything.
Anything.
By the way,
we didn't know. Imagine, we didn't even know you could do that. But
it's true.
What I was going to say. Oh, we're talking about today. Our topic is marriage hard? Right?
Let's think about that. Is marriage hard? Is in difficult? Is marriage difficult?
Well, so I want to ask you. Let's come up with some ways that marriage could be difficult.
Here's a great way marriage can be difficult: is loss of freedom. What I mean by that is this: when you become married,
explain that.
You know exactly what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. When you get married, suddenly you can't just go off and do what you want to do because you now have another person to consider. Right. Maybe that person doesn't want to go to Comic-Con like you wanted to go for the last 10 years. Or maybe that person doesn't want to go see, Star Wars for the 50th time like you want to go.
That's very true.
Right?
Yeah.
Did I explain that well enough?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So another way that marriage could be hard is no communication. That makes marriage really hard. Mm-hmm. So I've just said no communication. So what happens when you don't communicate? We talk about that a lot on this channel because no communication is basically you're just existing with each other. So there's nothing being, there's nothing being shared. There's no feeling like you don't know where the person stands. Yep. There's like a lot of things that can mess up your relationship when there's no communication. Like, I don't know how he's feeling right now. I don't know if he's mad. I don't know if he's feeling left out. I don't know, whatever it might be.
Probably all of the above.
Yeah, it could be all of those things. Probably but as a woman too, I want to communicate because I want to know where you stand with me, and I want you to know where I stand with you. And these are all good things too. This is not just, I want to tell you all the wrong things you're doing. I'll tell you all the bad things that you're doing. How about talking about all the good things that you're doing and all the good ways of you making me feel loved and you make me feel like that I am, worship. No, I'm kidding. But there's only one to worship, and that's Jesus.
How do you, guys, let me ask you in the chat, leave a comment. How do you think marriage can be hard? And by the way, just because it seems hard now doesn't mean it's an insurmountable situation. Like, oh my gosh, we'll never be able to get through this. Because listen, when you're a single guy, and I was raised with 3 brothers and my father. My mother wasn't in the picture, but I was raised in a house full of guys. And then I get married to a woman. I've learned how to live with a woman. That was something that was hard. And that was, I wouldn't say it was extremely hard. I was like, wow, women do different things than guys do. And I'm sure she learned that men do different things than women do. So, there is that cohabitation thing that comes with learning how each other live together.
The first thing you start to experience when you're like, you have your bathroom counter, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, that's where I normally put my stuff, but he put it there. And I don't want to make him feel bad, but yet that's my space, right? There's all those little things that are so cute that you work out. But Jacquelinda just said that communication is exactly the problem right now in her relationship. Yes, communication is when it's lacking, your marriage is lacking. Trust me, I'm telling you.
Your relationship is lacking because, guys, listen, let me ask this, and I'll ask you this. Why don't people communicate? Are they afraid of offending the other person? Or are they afraid of getting in a fight? Or are they just sick of talking to the other person?
Well, no.
Or are they selfish and don't want to talk to the other person?
No, I think most of the time, and this goes for both sexes, right? But I think most of the time men don't want to talk about their feelings. Men don't want to reveal certain things on the inside, where not all women, but the majority of them will just, let out everything. Not a lot of men want to do that because they were taught that you got to suck it up. You got to do all those things. Now, I'm not talking about, I'm looking, that you want a man that's just going to cry all the time and fall apart. I'm talking about somebody that can actually express to you how they feel, because a lot of times when you don't, and then things start to build up, and then like, okay, this is a little example, but something that that I can use as an example. Like Butchie loves tea Java, right? T-E-A-J.
It's a drink. It's iced tea.
T-E-G-A-V-A.
I-T-E-A-J-A-V-A. Tea Java. It's a bottled tea.
Right. So Butch loves that. And so let's say, and sometimes I forget to get it for him, right? Because I'll be getting other stuff at the grocery store, and he shops a lot too. Let's say I don't shop for it. So now we're in an argument about something dumb. And then he could very well bring up to me, well, you don't ever even surprise me and get me the things I love. You're like, I always have to go to the store and get them. You've never done that, but I'm just saying.
I had this exact conversation in my head a million times.
No, but okay, but I'm just saying that he would probably never say that. He wouldn't say that like in a calm discussion, but maybe when it's getting a little heated and we're starting to talk a little louder, then you might be, yeah.
How could you possibly talk louder than you do?
No, and then we might hear this. Yeah, and you never even think about me when you go to the grocery store. I love the tea Java, and you never get it for me. Like I can't believe that you're not even looking in the cabinet.
I'll settle for a meal. Make a meal.
But listen,
food
I know that
would be good.
But let me finish my drama here. Yep. My dramatization.
Oh, you're very good at drama.
Yes, and so I want I want you to one time just look in the cabinet and notice I don't have any more tea and go buy it for me. But see, the situation was really about something else. And while you're there in that argument, let's bring up everything that makes you mad.
The one thing you don't want to do in a marriage, and I would encourage you, anyone out there who's listening to this, I would encourage you to not have the mentality where you have to pick up bullets and put them in your gun for later. Like, oh, I'll just remember that offense for later. I'll remember that offense. I was a master of that. I'll remember that for later. I'll remember that for later. I'll remember that for later. And what is the use of remembering all of that? Because to be honest with you, you're going to hurt somebody by saying it. And secondly, you're going to carry all that offense inside of you for months, years, however long it takes to get back the subject at hand. And you know what? At my age now, I'm 57. I'm not trying to sound like an older person, but I am an older person. But I don't want to carry stuff with me like that anymore. Even when you're younger, guys.
Did you want to when you were younger?
Well, when I was younger, I carried it naturally.
Not everybody that's watching this is as old as me.
Well, what I mean is, the reason I carried it when I was younger, I thought you were supposed to. I thought, oh, well, we have to fight. So there'll be another fight coming soon. I better be prepared for the next fight. Would you believe,
get all my information?
would you believe that you don't have to fight ever if you don't want to? You don't have to. You know, I came from a house where there were nothing but fights going on all the time. And then when I got out of the house as an older person, and I'd be like, or I even go down, even while I was still in that house, I go down the street to my friend's house and there was no fighting happening. It was peaceful. I'm like, what kind of house is this? Weren't they yelling at each other all the time like they are in my house? You know, you don't have to have a house like that.
Well, and Hannah says, isn't that guilt tripping the person?
Let me put the comment up here. And they go, that is guilt tripping, Hannah. You're right.
Definitely guilt
And Lisa
tripping.
Johnson says, sorry, I missed you guys last week. Me and my husband had a date night alone, which is a very rare thing for us.
Yay.
Good for you.
Okay, that's another when we say
date night is good.
Marriage hard. Well, when you don't go out on those date nights, if you don't get away from your children for a minute, not that you want to like be away from them, but there's a time when you guys need to laugh together.
You need to talk to adults, not kids.
And talk about things that you wouldn't maybe talk about in front of the kids. But what ends up happening is you go out to dinner and you end up talking about your kids the whole time. But you know, there's maybe a few nuggets in there that that you two can share. You know, the thing about relationships as with marriage is there was a time when it was just you and your husband. And what was why were you so attracted to each other? And what was it about that person that you loved?
How could I not be attracted to her? Look at her. You know, she'll be 60 years old in a couple of weeks. 60. 60. Not 16, 60. She looks amazing, doesn't she? Yes. Lynn Barth Erickson says, the offense only hurts you. The other person has probably gotten over it. And Lynn, that is so good. Truer words were never spoken.
So true, Lynn. Amen. But the deal is this, like marriage can be awesome. I'm just going to say, put a period there. Marriage can be awesome. It doesn't always have to be. Yeah, we talk about things that get like, you know, the irritants and all that stuff on the show, but we really, you know, marriage can be awesome. Marriage can be a lot of fun. Marriage can be, you know, what I love about them, it's like you're living with your best friend the rest of your life.
Ooh, you're making me live. You're my best friend. Hey,
ooh,
you know, it says marriage. We ask, is marriage hard? Everything worthwhile is hard. I don't mean it's like, oh, it's the hardest thing ever.
Yeah.
But I always say it's like going to the gym. When you're at the gym, it's hard, it's a little uncomfortable, but then the results are very amazing. A great marriage can result in so many amazing things, folks. A great marriage results in an amazing, not only relationship, can result in an amazing union of the both of you. It could result in an amazing business, an amazing like family business. It can result in amazing influence in the neighborhood. When you have a strong family, a strong parental unit can have such a huge influence. I look at the Hobby Lobby people, David Green and his wife. What's David Green's wife's name? I'll remember it later, but David Green, who runs Hobby Lobby.
Oh, the Hobby Lobby.
You think that couple started Hobby Lobby, one of the biggest
in
companies
their garage, I think, right?
In their garage in the USA, and it kept the family involved. The family, you know, is running the business now, and it is just incredible what that one family has done. There's a million other examples of families, but imagine if the mom and dad were fighting all the time, or if the mom and dad were offended because of offense, or because, you know, you can't talk to me that way. It's your fault, not my fault. It's always about who's going to win the argument. I've met so many people now that are our age or older that still think that way, and it's sad.
I just want to give you the definition of hard. Is marriage hard? So it's there's one here: difficult to do or accomplish, troublesome. Yeah. Let's see: difficult to deal with, manage, difficult to control, difficult to overcome, involving a great deal of effort. Right. So I like that one. It's a great deal of effort. You have to put effort into your marriage. There is no other way that your marriage is going to make it if you don't put your effort into it. And that's your whole effort. You know, it's like, I never forget when we first got married, you know, it's like I had my schedule, he had his, but my schedule was a lot busier.
Hers was way more important than mine.
Right. And mine was more important.
That's what she thought anyway.
I'd get home at 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, and Butch would be sitting there watching TV going, you know, well, here's another night that my wife wasn't here. And so that was so wrong, ridiculously wrong of me. But I didn't know how to have a relationship. I didn't know. I mean, I knew, but I didn't want it to stop my things I love to do, Like I know how to have a relationship. Well, maybe I didn't. I knew how to involve. Let's put this.
It sounds like you really did.
I knew how to have somebody
Perfect.
to be, how I could have someone involved in my life, but I didn't understand the sacrifice that I was not going to be able to do what I want to do every single day. That's ridiculous.
Key word, sacrifice.
Yeah.
Write that down, because sacrifice comes in all forms. It comes in the form of a marriage. It comes in the form of having children. All of you with kids out there, you know the sacrifice it takes to have children and raise them properly. Yep. It comes in the form of having a job or having any type of relationship. You have to sacrifice a little bit of yourself all the time in order to attain what it is you want. You want that big job, that big dream. It's going to sacrifice your time, your attention, your effort, your heart, years of your life. If you want to build something and create it, like I've been doing Fairly Odd Parents for 20 years. It's 20 years of my life working on this cartoon. And it just goes and goes and goes. But you have to sacrifice in order to achieve all this stuff, for sure.
Right. And, it's what happens in a marriage sometimes is that when you have someone, a very strong personality like myself, and Butch has a very strong personality too, there's like a little bit of a tug of war for control. Like, I'm going to be the one.
Guess who wins? Guess who wins all the time?
That's so not true.
Take a while.
I don't know why he always says that, because it's not true.
Take a while, guys. Hey, I want to show you something.
Maybe I'm going to show old videos or something.
You don't have any. What if it feels one-sided? She says, what if it feels one-sided?
Well, that's so true. And you know what? What about if one of the spouses has had an adulterous relationship? What if one of the spouses doesn't know Jesus, doesn't want to know Jesus, wants nothing to do with any kind of relationship with the Lord? What if a spouse, is a drug addict? What if there's a lot of those? But here's what I love about the Word of God. The Word of God, the Word itself doesn't change situation upon situation. It's the same word no matter what. So if we're married and we're having like a little situation, nothing to do with adultery, nothing to do with drugs, just maybe we don't agree upon something. The same scriptures that get us through that are the same ones that get you through my husband or my wife cheated on me. Mm-hmm. There's no scripture that says, here's one for, when he cheats on you. Here's one when he becomes an addict. Here's one when he, embarrasses you in public or whatever. That's not there. So we've got to use those same scriptures.
Like Philippians 4:6, be anxious for nothing. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. I mean, be anxious for nothing. The other one says, first, I think it's James 1:2. When trials come to you, I'm remembering the song. James 1, verse 2. No, it's James 1:2 says, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. It doesn't mean you have to enjoy the trial, but the joy of the trial is what is the result of the learning that will come out of it.
Is the result.
Like, I know this is trying right now, this situation, but something great's going to come out of this, and something great will come out of it. You ask, what if it feels one-sided? Meaning, I think what you mean by that is this. You're trying to communicate, you're trying to do all these things, and your spouse isn't responding. That's what I think you're trying to say. What happens then? Well, that's a good question. You need to be the best example you can be.
Yeah.
You just be the best example. You can't change someone's heart. You can't change someone's behavior.
Well, a lot of times we hear this, like, well, when he shows me some kind of glimmer of he cares or something like that, then I will show him. And what you're saying is that I'm hurt and I'm not going to let you hurt me anymore. So I'm going to protect my heart and I'm not going to let you get in there anymore until you prove to me that we can do this. So that's definitely something that is so true that we do feel at times and we experience. But the bottom line is this: if you are, angry at your spouse and you feel like you cannot forgive them, and I mean like forgiveness, you're like, forgive what? Forgive him for what? Like, or forgive her. Do you know what she did? There's no way. Like, really? Like, whatever happened, this horrible thing, then now God is saying that I need to forgive. Well, let me tell you something. If you don't forgive, you are literally going to end up killing yourself in many ways. Of your spiritual life will die. Your natural life, you'll be so bitter and mad and everything that you'll make all the wrong choices. Those are the things that I'm talking about. I'm not even talking about, you committing a a crime over yourself. I'm talking about the spiritual death that will take place. And when death comes spiritually, there's nothing in this world that you'll want as a person trying to go through life without Christ. There's nothing here that you want. You do not want what the world has to offer.
Lynn Barth says 70 times 7. Exactly. Forgive them 70 times 7. And Hannah's been repeating this message over and over. She wants us to see it. When you mentioned that Carly was waiting for her man, it reminded me of my story. When I was younger, I've always prayed for a godly friend, and God gave me my soul sister, Shannon. And she's the most amazing gift God's ever given me. Waiting for your person, whether friendship or romantic, is so worth the wait. You're right,
Yes,
Hannah.
And Shannon is so sweet. I love that.
Shannon's awesome. She's got a great dog, too. Her little dog.
Oh, my gosh. Bella, she comes every Sunday to
She brings this little dog, a little Chihuahua mixed dog named Bella, and she's the sweetest little dog.
Yes, remember we have a church in the park that we do
We're always
on
outside.
Sundays, and we have our Bible study tonight. And so again,
if you guys ever want to come to our Bible study, if you're in the Southern California area, you could message us. And
healingjourneystoday@gmail.com.
And we will send you the address to the Bible study.
Yeah.
We don't film it. We just aren't set up for that, but we would love you to come and join it.
We have a saying. Whatever happens at the space, it's called the space, stays at the space. So we don't.
Look how creative we were. We call it the space. We had no idea. We're like, well, it's a big space. We could open.
We're kind of like Vegas. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So the same thing. So anyway, like we said, the bottom line to all of this is is marriage hard? It is as hard as you make it.
Yep.
Or it's as easy as you make it.
Let me ask you this: is not being married hard?
Yes, that's so good.
Is not being married hard? People will say, it's so easy. But then all we hear when we counsel people is, I wish I was married. I wish I was married. It'd be so much easier if I was married. We hear this all the time, you guys. It's so interesting. Oh, by the way, this is kind of funny. Debbie says Bella sings when the fire engine passes.
Yes.
Whenever a fire engine goes by,
so cute.
The dog goes, oh, it's really cute. And Jacqueline says, forgiveness is one thing, but forgetting is another. Let me address that. Forgiveness is one thing, forgetting is another. That is true. They are both two sides of the same coin. My sleeve keeps getting caught up here. The thing that Jesus would do, Jesus would not remember your sin.
Yeah.
Jesus doesn't sit there going, well, I'll heal you, but you're still a terrible person for doing this, and this. Jesus doesn't hold your sin against you, nor does he throw it in your face.
Never.
He basically forgets about everything bad you've ever done, because here's the thing. God forgets all the bad stuff you've done because he already put all the punishment for your sin on Christ. Christ already took all the punishment for all your sins. There's no punishment you will get from God. If you trust Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you will not get a punishment from the Lord, because you are now identified with Jesus. So God looks at Jesus going, well, you're already cleared. I gave you all the punishment. It's all done. Who's with you? It's like you're walking into a nightclub, basically, and there's a whole line of people with Jesus that identify with him. We're with him. Okay, great. Yeah. Do you ever do that when you go somewhere special, like you're trying to get into a certain building, or maybe it's like a entertainment facility, or
go to a club,
nightclub or something, and it's like you're standing there and they won't let you in, but then one of your friends comes up who knows the door guy, and it's like, oh yeah, they're all with me. Oh great, come on in. They vouched for you. That's what Jesus does for us. Jesus goes, you know what? They're with me. I identify with them. They've accepted me as their Lord. Therefore, I am now in them. So when you look at them, you see me. When you look at me, you see them. That's what the whole relationship with Christ should be like. When people look at you, when they deal with you, do they see Jesus Christ, or do they just see the worldly version of you that's angry and complaining and blah, blah, blah? And I'm saying this to myself too. I need to make sure that when people look at me, they see more Christ than Butch Hartman. That's what I need to do.
That's Hebrews 10:17. It says, then he adds, their sins and their lawless deeds I will remember no more.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
that's good. Hebrews 10:17.
Yeah, so
writing that
here's the
down.
thing.
I remember that one.
Yeah. So we talk about, how he doesn't remember our sin. Well, unfortunately, the human side of us goes, well, I remember that time when you did this or that. So here's the deal. Your spouse might do that, but don't you do it. And I know it's very tempting to do that, to say, oh, yeah? Well, what about when you did this? So now you're not even getting to the problem, because he's saying, well, remember that. And I'm saying, well, remember this. And it's like it goes, remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this. Like we keep going and topping each other. We're still not getting to the root of what's going on. We're still not solving any issues here. So because once it's like once the emotions like get in this upheaval, once the emotions start, oh man, there's no stopping it at times, because it is, remember, the tongue is a little member, but it boasts big things.
Right.
It is very dangerous, the tongue.
Guys, nobody's perfect at this. And everybody's learning.
No.
And we're still learning. And we don't claim to be perfect at all, but we are just claiming that we've been married for 30 years, never been divorced, never been married to anybody else but each other. And we come from families where there was multiple marriages between multiple people all the time. My siblings, your siblings married multiple times. And not that that's wrong or bad. It's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with. And then you have kids involved and all that stuff. So it's just a big deal to deal with all that stuff. And I know that spouses pass away as well, and people get remarried. Yes. Of course, that's a big deal. In my situation, that wasn't the case. People got divorced because they were mad at each other, and that's really what it came down to. It was a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of pride, a lot of. And I look back now at those times, and it all just seems so hard. And now looking at it now with adult eyes, especially through a Christ-centered view, I just think, man, these poor lost people back then, and it's a shame that they didn't know any more than they knew as far as turning to the Lord, or how they had they acted more like Christ, who forgave all of his tormentors, everybody who beat on Jesus or lashed him or hurt him or humiliated him or killed him, he forgave them all, which is amazing. Can you even imagine that? Forgiving all those people that have come after you and tormented you and said mean things to you. Can you imagine forgiving them? Yeah, go ahead.
Someone said the other day, was like, yeah, well, he only dealt with it for 3.5 years. I've been dealing with my spouse for the last 20.
That is true.
But I'm just saying that was kind of funny. But listen to this, James 3:5. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. See how great a forest a little fire kindles. Ooh, it can. Listen, out here in wildfire land,
yep.
All it takes is one spark with one Santa Ana wind, yep. And that's it.
You'll see a whole hillside be gone in a matter of minutes because of a tiny little flame
in ashes.
It's crazy.
It says, and the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue is so set.
Stop. The tongue is a fire. That means your tongue starts situations.
Yeah.
What you say, it could start good situations. You're beautiful. I love you. You're the most important person I've ever seen in my life, or I've ever had in my life. Or you're a jerk. I hate you. How dare you? I mean, your tongue can do one of two things, good or bad. Go ahead.
And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defiles the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature.
Wow.
And it is set on fire by hell. Wow.
I'm trying to.
It says, but then now go down here to 8. But no man can tame the tongue. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. With it we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be so.
It says the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. Iniquity means this: gross injustice or wickedness.
Yeah.
The tongue can be wickedness, meaning when you ask if marriage is hard, you start throwing some wickedness at your spouse, it can be very hard.
Yeah.
But it seems easier to throw the wickedness. But what if someone throws wickedness at you? What if someone throws something at you that you don't like too much? It's not too pleasant, is it? So, the Bible also says you reap what you sow, that what a man sows, he will also reap. So when you're out there sowing all these negative things towards your spouse, you're going to reap those things back most likely. And even when you don't feel like complimenting your spouse, you should compliment them anyway. Even when you don't feel loved by your spouse, or even like they're paying attention to you, you should at least do your best to pay attention to them. That's what you should do, because it's only going to come back to you guys. It's only going to come back.
Yeah.
And is marriage hard? It can be if you allow it to be.
But you know what, though? I mean, I guess, like I said, when I use the definition of hard, no, marriage does not have to be that difficult and all those things. But a marriage, I wouldn't say the word is hard. I think the marriage is work. Is not work. I don't want to say it's work, but it's a vision, right, for your future. Okay. Bottom line is, you're spending the rest of your life with your best friend, right? And so, You're not always going to have the same attitude. You're not always going to have the same beliefs. You're not always going to have the same, way of doing.
By the way,
things.
you might have the greatest day ever, and then you come home and it's clear that your spouse has had a very terrible day, and you've got to learn how to deal with that. And they've got to learn how to deal with that too. If you want to stay married, when it's all about you, like I used to go write comedy at Nickelodeon and laugh all day, and I'd come home and she might have not had the greatest day. And it's like, well, you have no idea the genius jokes we just wrote this today, and didn't matter.
And I wouldn't care.
Didn't matter.
But basically,
and yet I was still here. I didn't go anywhere.
Marriage is hard work because you have to work at it. I have to make sure that I am thinking of him, not just of me all the time. And also that I'm not just thinking about our daughters all the time, even when they were little. Yes, obviously when they can't take care of themselves, you've got to do that. But if I'm focused on my kids 24/7, then he's going to suffer. And if he suffers, the one thing that brought us together to begin with will end. So is marriage hard? Yes. It is. It's hard work to keep it in a good place. And when people say like, oh, it's the easiest thing. Well, I don't know it any other way. I do know that, that it is work to keep it spontaneous. It's work to keep it fun. It's work to keep, but it's not hard work or bad, or what am I trying to say? It's like, it's not bad work.
Let me go to this comment real quick.
Oh, wait, hold.
Okay. No,
okay.
I'm waiting.
No,
you were wrapping
I'm trying to find the right word. It's like, it's not like, oh, this is the hardest thing ever. Yeah, it can be that.
Challenging.
Okay, but marriage is, maybe that's more of a better word. It's challenging because you are challenged every day with putting your own, laying your own feelings down at times to help the other, vice versa, right? And it's like sometimes it's going to be, I'm cleaning the house all the time and I'm making all the dinners all the time and I'm watching the kids. And then it could go to where he's doing it all. Then it goes to we're doing it together. Like you got to ride the waves a little bit. But the bottom line is that if that is your spouse and you're spending the rest of your life with your best friend, this is what we do for best friends. How many people do we know that treat their friends better than they treat their spouses?
Many. Here's a comment. Funny, I clicked on this. Just got in an argument and now I'm in the driveway in my car sitting here. Had to say that. That was, by the way, I hope that we are ministering to you and I hope that you're learning something.
Well, let me just say, go in your house
and stop the argument by telling your spouse you love them. I know that might be the last thing on your heart right now, but I guarantee you it will change the atmosphere. And
if you are married, obviously you do love them. You may not like what they're doing right now or whatever, vice versa. But when you go in there and you remind them of why you're together, of saying like, I love you and that's why we're married, that's always an icebreaker. That's always an anger shatterer.
This one says here, let's one more question, one more comment. No, not that one. Not Hannah. I'm sorry, Hannah. This one. I've been taught a man should pursue a woman always. Is that true?
I'm sorry, but I believe it too.
Yeah. And by the way, I think that is something that's obviously up to you. There's no law that says one has to. However, tradition does say that, it is a little more romantic when the man pursues the woman. I do believe that should be the case. I think women are treasures that need to be looked for and they need to be cherished. Men are the hunter-gatherers. And so I know it sounds I'm not trying to knock it down to that, but I do think men are more trained to go out and look for things. And as far as like, we're hardwired. Well,
it says he who finds a good wife.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing. Means when you find something, you're looking for it, right? And so I do believe that women are to be pursued. That's just me. Again, I'm not saying that's the way it should always be.
Yeah, that is a personal preference, so please do not.
Yeah, this is not like saying you have to do whatever you want to do.
The scripture that we mentioned is in the Bible, but his preference is not in the Bible.
This man says here, or this person, hidden Jesus, yo-yo, marriage up and down. This person sitting in the driveway, they laughed, LOL. Says you're ministering. You're ministering to me. Thanks. You're more than welcome, hidden in Jesus.
Oh, that's great. And listen, is your marriage a yo-yo? That's what we should do.
Write that down. Yeah. Is your marriage a yo-yo? Yeah. I love that title.
Yeah, because some days it goes full out. Some days it's, it stays rolled up.
It's down, it's up. No one does yo-yos anymore. You know why? Because you don't need the internet for a yo-yo.
I know. You don't
yo-yos
need
are toys.
For
they were physical toys you could play with, like Lincoln Logs. Remember those?
Yes, I do.
Hey, listen, guys, we got to run.
And Legos. But I just wanted to say, someone said that marriage is not hard. Is not hard when you love the person. again, I'm gonna on next week's I'm gonna find a better word because it's not like it's oh this is so hard. It's not that at all. And I don't even want to use the word hard, but it is work. Let's say that. So as much as I love my husband, and he's the only one I've ever loved, right? My husband's the only one I've ever loved, but it still is. It's work. It's work. It's work on myself to make sure that I'm not like in that crappy mood and pulling everybody into that crappy mood with me, right? It's when he's like calls my name 5 times and you want to just go turn around and go what, right?
Why are you why do I drive you so crazy? Why are you so
You
irritated?
don't. That would be anybody.
If I was watching this video, I'd be like, gosh, he just drives her insane. We have to go, guys. We love you. Have a great week, and we'll talk next week.